The email arrived at 11:47 p.m. Subject line, budget meeting rescheduled. Keir Starmer opened it, expecting routine Treasury communication. Instead, he found something else entirely: a list of Labor MPs Rachel Reeves had privately met in the past 2 weeks. 23 names, senior figures, key allies, shadow cabinet members, all meeting the Chancellor, none mentioning it to the Prime Minister. What was she planning? Starmer stared at the screen, heart rate increasing, mind racing through possibilities. Then he made the call that would change everything. But before we understand what happened next, you need to know how we got here. Because this wasn't sudden betrayal, it was calculated strategy months in the making. March 2025. Rachel Reeves became Chancellor 6 months earlier, appointed by Starmer as his trusted economic partner. She was competent, Oxford-educated economist, former Bank of England analyst, respected by markets. Starmer needed her credibility. His own economic knowledge was limited human rights lawyer background, no Treasury experience. Reeves was supposed to be his strength, his anchor, his guarantee of fiscal responsibility. Instead, she was building something else entirely. April 2025. The first signs appeared: small things, barely noticeable. Reeves started giving interviews without clearing them with number 10 first. Minor policy announcements made independently, Treasury briefings to journalists that Starmer only learned about later. His team noticed the Chancellor's operating quite independently. Starmer dismissed it. She's establishing her authority. That's good for government credibility. He didn't see the pattern forming, didn't recognize the strategy, but others did. May 2025. Senior Labor MPs started receiving invitations, private dinners with the Chancellor, informal coffees, quiet drinks after Parliament. The conversations seemed innocent enough, discussing economic policy, sharing concerns about government direction, building relationships. But always, eventually, one question emerged. Do you think the Prime Minister has the economic understanding to lead us through the next crisis? Not direct criticism, just a question, planting seeds of doubt. Some MPs mentioned these conversations to colleagues. Word spread quietly through Westminster tea rooms and WhatsApp groups. Rachel Reeves was networking, aggressively, systematically. But why? June 2025. The economy started showing cracks: growth slowing, inflation stubborn, business confidence falling. Nothing catastrophic yet, but warning signs mounting. Starmer's response was political speeches about staying the course and long-term planning. Reeves's response was different. She started distancing herself from government economic messaging. Interviews where she said the Treasury is monitoring instead of the government is acting. Speeches emphasizing her department's analysis rather than collective cabinet decisions. Subtle separation, creating space between herself and Starmer's leadership. Then came the moment that made everything clear. July 2025. Economic Summit in London. International finance ministers attending, major media coverage. Starmer was supposed to give the keynote speech. He prepared for weeks. The night before, Reeves called. Prime Minister, I think I should deliver the economic portions. Markets will respond better to Treasury credibility. Starmer hesitated. This was his moment to demonstrate economic leadership. But Reeves pressed, your strength is political vision. Mine is economic detail. Let's play to our strengths. He agreed. Mistake. Because at that summit, Reeves didn't just give economic analysis, she positioned herself as the real economic authority in government. Journalists noticed. Chancellor Reeves commands the room. Markets trust her more than the PM. One headline captured it perfectly. Is Rachel Reeves really running Britain's economy? Starmer saw those headlines, felt the shift happening, but still didn't act. August 2025. The networking intensified. Reeves wasn't just meeting Labor MPs anymore. She was building coalitions, union leaders, party donors, influential activists. Each conversation similar, expressing concerns about economic direction, questioning Starmer's capabilities, positioning herself as alternative. One union leader later described it. She never directly said she should be PM, but the implication was clear. She believed she could do it better. September 2025. Party conference season arrived. Starmer gave his leader's speech well received, professional, but not inspiring. Reeves gave her chancellor's speech the next day and brought the house down. Standing ovation, genuine enthusiasm, delegates chanting her name. The contrast was devastating. Starmer looked like a manager. Reeves looked like a leader. Political journalists wrote it up immediately. Reeves outshines Starmer at conference. Is Labor's real leader the chancellor? Starmer's team tried damage control. Too late. The narrative was set, but what they didn't know yet, this wasn't accidental, this was planned. October 2025. The private meetings became more frequent and more strategic. Reeves started testing loyalty, asking Labor MPs directly, if there were a leadership challenge, could I count on your support? Most were shocked. Are you actually considering this? Her response was always careful. I'm not planning anything. But if circumstances changed, if the party needed different leadership, I'd want to know who shared my vision for Britain's economic future. Plausible deniability. But the message was clear she was preparing for leadership bid. Some MPs reported these conversations to Starmer's team. Warnings were given. Starmer still didn't believe it. Rachel's ambitious, but she's loyal. She wouldn't challenge me. Fatal miscalculation. November 2025. Economic crisis deepened, GDP growth revised down, unemployment ticking up, business investment falling. Starmer tried taking control, announced new economic initiatives, called emergency cabinet meetings. But every announcement was undercut by Treasury briefings, anonymous sources telling journalists the Chancellor has concerns about the PM's approach. Reeves was systematically undermining him, using her department to brief against her own government. Classic political warfare, and Starmer was losing. Then came the budget. December 2025, Reeves delivered her first major budget statement. Starmer expected coordination, joint messaging, team approach. Instead, Reeves delivered a budget that was entirely her vision, barely consulting Number 10, making decisions independently, positioning herself as the architect of Britain's economic future. The budget itself was politically clever tax cuts for working families, investment in public services, fiscal responsibility messaging. Markets loved it. Public approved. Labor MPs praised it. And Reeves took all the credit. Not our government's budget, my budget. The Prime Minister sat on the front bench watching his Chancellor steal his agenda and his authority. That night, Starmer's senior advisors held an emergency meeting. She's positioning herself to replace you. Finally, he believed them. But what could he do? Fire his Chancellor during economic uncertainty? Look weak and threatened by competent colleague? Every option made him look worse. Reeves had him trapped. December 15th, the email arrived, the one listing all the MPs she'd been meeting. 23 names, including some Starmer considered his closest allies. He called his chief of staff. How long has this been happening? Months. We've been tracking it. She's building a leadership campaign infrastructure inside your government. Starmer felt sick. His own chancellor, his appointment, his supposed ally was actively plotting his removal. December 20th, 5 days later. Starmer decided to confront her directly. Private meeting, no staff, just the two of them in his Number 10 study. Reeves arrived exactly on time, calm, professional, showing no concern. Starmer didn't waste time with pleasantries. Rachel, I know what you're doing. What am I doing? Building support for a leadership challenge, meeting MPs, testing loyalty, undermining my authority. Reeves didn't deny it. Why would she? The game was already in motion. Instead, she went on offense. Keir, let me be direct. You're a good man, but you're not the right leader for the economic challenges ahead. The bluntness was shocking. No pretense, no diplomatic deflection. Starmer tried asserting authority. I'm Prime Minister. You're my Chancellor. You serve at my pleasure. Reeves smiled, actually smiled. Technically true, but politically, you can't fire me without looking threatened and weak, and we both know it. She was right. Firing her would confirm everything that she was too powerful, too popular, too competent for him to tolerate. So what do you want? Starmer asked. I want you to step aside voluntarily. Announce you're not running for re-election. Support my leadership bid. Make this a smooth transition, and if I refuse? Reeves's answer was chilling. Then I'll challenge you anyway, and I'll win. But it'll be messy, divisive, damaging to the party. Your choice, graceful exit or brutal fight. It was Rishi Sunak and Liz Truss all over again. History repeating itself with different players. Starmer couldn't believe this was happening. You're blackmailing your own prime minister. I'm offering you options. You can accept reality now or learn it the hard way later. The meeting ended there, no resolution, just two labor leaders acknowledging they were now enemies. December 24th, Christmas Eve, 4 days later, Starmer still hadn't decided what to do. Fire her and risk crisis, let her continue and watch his authority erode, challenge her directly and force the confrontation. Every option was terrible. Meanwhile, Reeves was accelerating her campaign, more meetings, more calls, more MPs being recruited. She wasn't waiting for Starmer's response. She was building inevitable momentum. December 25th, Christmas Day. Starmer sat with his family, barely present, mind consumed by political survival. His phone buzzed constantly, Labor MPs messaging, some offering support, others subtly suggesting maybe it was time for change. The Chancellor's campaign was working, party opinion was shifting. Then came the message that changed everything. One of Starmer's closest allies, someone he had appointed to cabinet, someone he trusted completely, sent a text. I'm sorry, but I think Rachel's right about the economic leadership. I'll be supporting her if she runs. Betrayal, complete betrayal. If his own people were abandoning him, how could he possibly win? December 26th, Boxing Day. Decision time approaching. Starmer requested emergency meeting with Labor's most senior figures, former ministers, party grandees, the wise elders who really controlled things. The message? Reeves is planning a challenge. I need your support to stop it. Their response shocked him. Keir, maybe she has a point. The economic situation requires someone with Treasury credibility. Rachel has that. You don't. Even the party establishment was against him. Reeves had done her work thoroughly, built support at every level, made herself indispensable. Starmer was isolated, alone, defeated. That evening, he made the call to Reeves directly. We need to talk about transition. She knew immediately what that meant. I'm listening. If I step aside, what do I get? Dignified exit, supportive role if you want it, my public gratitude for your service, and no damaging revelations about internal conflicts. Same playbook as every political coup, same promises, same threats. Starmer asked the question that mattered. When? After the next economic statement. February. Gives us time to manage messaging and prepare the party. 2 months. That's all the time he had left as prime minister. And if I refuse, Reeves's answer was final. Then I announce my challenge tomorrow, with majority of the Parliamentary Labour Party already supporting me. You'll lose publicly, humiliatingly, your choice. There was no choice. He'd lost. December 27th. The deal was made. Starmer would serve until February, then announce he was stepping down to focus on policy development or some similar face-saving excuse. Reeves would run for leadership with his grudging endorsement. With the full might of the Treasury and her network behind her, she would win easily, become Britain's first female prime minister through internal party coup. And Starmer would fade into history as the prime minister who let his chancellor take his job. But here's what nobody knew, yet not even Reeves herself. Someone had been recording everything. The private meetings, the promises made to MPs, the threats delivered to Starmer, a whistleblower inside the Treasury, someone horrified by the manipulation. And that evidence? It was about to leak. Because in Westminster, nothing stays secret forever. Every conspiracy eventually surfaces. Every plot gets exposed. Every betrayal becomes public. Rachel Reeves thought she'd executed the perfect political coup. She had no idea the recording existed. No idea that her own words, the blackmail, the threats, the calculated manipulation were documented. No idea that while she was preparing to become prime minister, someone was preparing to destroy her. The cameras turned to number 10 Starmer's signing papers, preparing to step aside, accepting defeat. The cameras turned to the Treasury Reeves planning her government, building her team, counting her victory. But somewhere in Westminster, a USB drive contained every conversation, every conspiracy, every betrayal, and it was about to go public. The chancellor who plotted to replace the prime minister, The coup that wasn't quite finished. The recording that would destroy them both. Coming soon.